Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Today we are playing Into the Breach. Just because, really. Just because it's a cool game. Yeah. You know, our trip to Japan is not looking so hot. Japan itself is not doing wonders for containing the coronavirus. Some might say they're fucking it up, but I wouldn't say that. Maybe I would. And by April, who knows where things are gonna be at. It could be at the point of like maybe we'd be allowed to go to Japan. Maybe even we'd go there, we'd have a decent trip. We wouldn't even get sick, but maybe anybody coming back from an Asian country or, even anywhere in the Eastern Hemisphere, who knows? They might be quarantined when they get back to the US. Who knows? It's just, there's a lot of, no one wants to be quarantined. So, yeah, I don't know. It's looking more and more like it would just be a lot smarter to postpone the trip and go next year. Because, it's not like this is the one and only year we could ever go. We've been planning this, but we could just keep the same itinerary, keep the same hotel choices and everything set up for next year. And the only thing is the flights. Obviously, we already paid for the flights. And the only way we get our money back is either if the airline decides to cancel the flight, which could happen if things get bad, or if we have some sort of medical emergency, which is less likely. So we'll see. We got a good deal on the flights, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if we don't get our money back, but that would certainly be nice. Let me just think about this for a second. Problematic. All right. How was Sonic? Sonic the movie. It was so surreal. It was so freaking surreal to see like a Sega logo at the start of a film in 2020. And they had like I don't know if this was new just for this movie, but they had like this Marvel-esque montage or sort of intro for Sega showing off like it was like this I don't know the word for it. It just showed off like a whole bunch of like Sega games from like the 90s, 80s and 90s because there hasn't been a memorable Sega game in quite a while. So that was pretty surreal. This game is Into the Breach. I highly recommend it if you're into tactical strategy games. Yeah. Certainly didn't solve any problems. Probably not the best game for hanging with Mangg, but the Sonic film, it was better than it had any right to be. I think is as much as I can say about it. It was family friendly. There was It was probably like the best Flash movie we'll ever get. 'Cause DC doesn't know what the fuck to do with the Flash. So there was definitely a lot of super speed moments with like stop, time basically stopped because Sonic is so fast. It was basically copying the Quicksilver scenes from the X-Men movies. And those are always fun. So, I mean, it was a fun enough movie. I think, depending on how you feel about Jim Carrey, like classic Jim Carrey, that'll probably sway your opinion. For me, I don't really like classic Jim Carrey, mostly because I don't like comedic films. It's not really my sort of genre. I prefer like stand-up comedy and stuff. So it's just sort of too wacky for my taste. But if you like that, I mean that's gonna be your jam because he's very wacky. It was inoffensive. It was fine. I mean, like I said, it was better than it had any right to be. And it's just sort of insane that we have a decent Sonic movie in 2020, but we don't have any. The last Nintendo movie was Super Mario Brothers. Like, they can't shit out some Zelda movie or Metroid movie. They can't get Mario together for. I mean, the thing is, like, Zelda, Metroid, Samus, and Mario, like, they're all sort of just like real people, just in video game form, whereas Sonic is sort of already like just a cartoon character. So he's able to sort of blend in like a humorous enough way with real actors. I don't know. I think we should get a Metroid movie at some point, but that's not for me to say. I don't know how to solve this one. What's the best video game movie so far? Detective Pikachu, maybe. The best video game movie so far. I think I had an answer for that just the other day. I was thinking about it. And now I'm blanking. Hold on, let me see if it can spark my memory. Tomb Raider was okay. I thought that was fine. I guess I would rank it pretty close to Sonic. Yeah, jeez. It's been a lot of fucking garbage. I guess I would say Silent Hill. Silent Hill is my personal choice for best film based on a video game. And based on, I guess, depending on the movie, it's a little loose, but... and I'm not even, like, that big of a fan of Silent Hill because I don't play that many horror games, but if you're just asking, like, the best film, in my opinion, that happens to be based on a video game, I would say it's Silent Hill. But I'm a big horror fan. I also like the first Resident Evil movie, but there's been a lot of trash. Like, you know, the Doom movie. They should make another Doom movie, but much better, based on, like, the new Doom. That would be pretty sweet. Just 2 hours of just ripping and tearing. That's what it should be. Even if it was like CG. I mean, there's been some decent CG video game movies. I think there was one for Dead Space that I thought was okay. Alright, I really have to... I don't think I can get through this one without taking a hit. Too much shit going on. Could solve that. Then he can't get... no. No, matter. Oh, no. This guy's the problem. Yeah, there's only one. No, there's two. There's two options, but neither one's great. I can't avoid taking a hit somewhere. Yeah, Metroid movie would be sweet. I'm sure Scarlett Johansson would play Samus Aran, but again, even if it was like a CG Metroid film, I think it could be really cool. It's just shocking that it doesn't exist. Anyway, yeah, so Japan trip's looking pretty iffy. So, as an alternative, or I guess a backup, however you want to consider it, I guess we're planning like a family fishing trip, which we haven't done in quite a while. It used to be like my whole childhood, every summer, that was what we did. We went on a family fishing trip to some random resort, different one every year, because we never were happy with anything. And the fishing was usually pretty lousy, and we would just, you know, have a good time as a family. That died off because my dad discovered his love of Colorado, going up into the mountains. So now they do that every year, and I've gone a few years, but I don't really care for it that much. It's just such a far drive. But now this year, we're doing a fishing trip. Either way, I mean, financially, it would be nicer on my bank account if we end up not going to Japan. But either way. An Uncharted movie with Nathan Fillion. Yeah, that would be really great. I mean, on one hand, it would be great. On the other hand, I mean, I'd rather just have another Uncharted game. Because it's like those are already pretty much movies you get to play. But, I mean, it seems like they're sort of moving ahead with this Uncharted movie with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. I mean, Tom Holland is sort of a young Nathan Drake, is probably fine. Mark Wahlberg as Sully seems like one of the worst casting decisions I've heard. So, that sort of bothers me. What are you going to do, though? Problematic. Oh, I can pull. Okay, I can pull. I'm not going to be able to save the bomb, though. Well, if I lose one bomb, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that, I mean, if that's what ends up happening for the Uncharted movie, that's what ends up happening. But I think it's because Mark Wahlberg has just been attached to the project for so long. He must have some sort of like stronger connection to Uncharted, like the I don't know. He was originally going to be Nathan Drake like 10 years ago or something. And then so much time has passed without it being made that now he's been bumped over to Sully, which I feel like that's got to be like a first for you to go from a project to be in development for so long that you go from playing the main character to being bumped to the old man sidekick of the main character. Spirits Within, Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Yeah, I saw that when I was a kid. I didn't know what the fuck to make of it. I saw it once. It was like a fever dream. I don't even remember it. And there was I believe, I mean, in the way back of my memory, there was a Final Fantasy like anime. I could swear there was. And I thought it was pretty cool when I saw like one episode. I don't even know how I saw it. I'd have to look into that. Anyways. Final Fantasy Advent Children is a decent video game movie. When I first saw it, I had actually never beaten Final Fantasy VII because it took me a while in life to beat it. So when I first saw it, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and I was just like, what the hell is... I don't even... It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I thought it was stupid. And then, like, I really got into Final Fantasy VII finally and understood the whole story. It's still kind of stupid, but I had a better appreciation for what they were doing. And that's... I mean, it's a very slick, cool anime movie. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, he has to be involved somewhat to even, like, be considered to play Sully. him playing Sam, like Tom Holland's older brother, that's quite a stretch. I think either way you could get. Mark Wahlberg really should not be involved in the project, unless he plays like a villain, but that would never happen. I think he just wants the paycheck from an Uncharted movie. And studio execs, you can't play Nathan Drake. I'm sorry. Moving on though. Well, I recommend the Sonic film if you are interested in a somewhat wacky, reference-filled, product placement-filled family movie. But if that does not interest you, then, well, you probably won't like it. This week on the Exploring series, I released 2 videos. It was a good old 2-video week. We had the Bone Orchard, which is a fine SCP, a fine video, no complaints, nothing special, nothing horrible. And then the Elementals video for D&D. For some reason, I procrastinated the hell out of putting that video together. And it's not even like that complicated or complex of a video, but it's just like, I don't know. Overall, though, it's been way easier for me to put together the D&D videos than the 40K videos. Just overall, they've all been way less complex, way shorter, way less data and info to compile. So, I've begrudged putting them together way less than during the 40K series. So that's all good. And pull. That doesn't solve the problem. So you would have to push. You can't push. Okay, you'd have to pull here. That doesn't solve our problem. Okay, I think we're just gonna do it. Yeah, Tarask. Well, if you haven't noticed, we're sort of going alphabetical. We start with A, then B, then C, then we've done a few D's. I jumped to E. Next, we're going to be going back to D for Drow. Still have not heard from that musician. I mean, he offered to do it for free. I can't, like, be angry at him or anything like that. But life marches on. So, regardless, I'm going to put together the Drow video. Next week, not this week. Okay, should be fine there. Okay, that should be good. Okay. Why the fuck did I die? Oh, the explosion. Fuck. Yes, I definitely plan on watching Color Out of Space. Very excited. I'm thinking of having like some friends over and just doing a movie night and watching Color Out of Space. So I feel like it's probably going to be a little out there. So I might appreciate having some friends with me. Explosion. Push him. Okay, I could push him. Yeah, so that's what's happened on the Exploring series. I worked on a little video for SCP-5000. Just a tiny SCP video. And, yeah, that one kicked my ass pretty good. Because, for one, it was pretty lengthy. Decently lengthy, not absurd. But also, it cross-references a lot of other SCPs. So, I had to sort of explain, like, all these other SCPs mentioned. I didn't have to, I guess, but, I mean, that's part of the flavor, is seeing what the Foundation is doing, you know, to sort of curb stomp humanity. So it ended up being like a 46-minute video. Which, believe it or not, I had to double check this because I was so surprised. It's the only SCP video I've done that's between 40 and 50 minutes in length. Every other SCP video I've done is either under 40 minutes or over 50 minutes. I don't know how that ended up happening, but I guess stuff is either pretty short or really, really freaking long. I was most surprised by SCP-1730. I guess maybe I cut out a lot, but that was like 39 minutes. For one, it was long. The other thing is, like, it's a mystery. And it's a mystery that can be solved. There is a correct answer. There is a correct explanation for what's going on, what caused all this in SCP-5000. And so I was sitting there racking my brain, trying to piece things together. And I would say I got, like, 90% of the way. I got like 90% of the way. And so that's what's in the video. It's sort of 90% of legitimate explanation, and then 10% is more of sort of my spitballing, my theories. And so there's a Discord server I'm in that has a bunch of SCP administrators and authors and blah, blah, blah. And so I was asking around in there a couple questions about SCP-5000. Just a couple things that I'm like, that I thought were maybe like references to other SCPs. They turned out to be not. They were just original to SCP-5000. One of the people in there, TSAT, who's very active on the SCP subreddit, he had a direct line to the author, so he could ask him questions for me. And then another individual in there, Yossi, was working on a declassification for SCP-5000, which is now up. You can thank me for that being up so soon, because apparently he was really concerned about getting that out there before my video came out. I guess because he thought that like people would think that he just copied my video, which after he put it out, I was like, well, you did a great declassification, but my video didn't really like solve it or anything. I didn't have like the correct answer, so he sort of rushed it out for nothing. But yeah, so I plan on putting a comment on the video linking to the declassification if people really want the exact true explanation confirmed by the author, because he talked to the author. The true explanation can be read, but I think my video still ends up being enjoyable, and it gets you 90% of the way. It leaves some room open if you want to come up with your own thoughts and theories, which I think is better. I think is better in the long run. That way, yeah, I like to get people thinking, and I think that's good. So I think it all works out. I mean, of course I think it all works out. Shit, it doesn't work. Shit. Oh no, I can make it work. It doesn't work as well as I'd like. And yeah, regardless, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And next week I'm working on SCP-5999, which is another big mystery one that I have to solve. So that'll be fun. And I have to put together the Drow video. But anyways, they should be pretty popular videos, and that's what really matters. So we soldier on. The other thing that's coming up is, of course, April Fool's Day, April 1st. And if you don't know, for the last few years, every April 1st, I put out a video that some regard as humorous. And when I first did it, the first one I did was the My Little Pony one. And it was just like, I've never done anything for April Fool's Day in my life, but the idea just came to me. It's like, I've been doing all this like Lovecraft stuff. I've been doing these really like serious, heavy videos. What if I did something really, really, really not serious, but in a serious tone? And so the My Little Pony video was like legitimately just a serious explanation of that universe's lore and like the world it's in. But it was just sort of a far cry from the Cthulhu mythos, basically. Oh wait, no, that's fine. That's good. All right, we're fine. Then the next year, I did. Uh, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm forgetting one that I did. No, I'm not forgetting. Right. So next year I did Teletubbies. And literally that was just like this bolt of inspiration into my head. I was just sitting around one day and it's just like, wouldn't that be really fucking funny? I think it was because I saw some sort of article. I don't even know what I was looking at. Maybe I even had the idea first, but I saw an article about how the filming location of the original Teletubbies had been like, was really like secretive, and they led guests there blindfolded, and then they they flooded it or something. Like, it was like really strange. I was like, I could probably make this work. And that ended up being a pretty fun video. And then the next year, it was sort of like, okay, I guess the pressure's on now. It's sort of expected of me. I can't really do anything that's like a parody. I couldn't think of another like great parody type thing of like the Cthulhu Mythos and Teletubbies. It was just like me basically writing something, writing this humorous script, making it up out of nothing. It wasn't at all like the My Little Pony video, which was just me seriously covering My Little Pony. So I decided to sort of do something in between, and that was the year of like all the Shaggy Ultra Instinct sort of stuff. So I was like, okay, everyone's really into Scooby-Doo right now, and I have fond memories of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. So let me just do that. Let me just cover that video, and let me just try writing like a funny script. And so I did, and I think some people liked it. It was a decent video, but I ran into sort of monetization problems. It actually didn't go live on YouTube until April 2nd. I had to upload it onto like Vimeo. It was just a pain in the ass, and it was a lot of work. That brings us to this year. Push him. This to worry about. Way to push him. Fuck. Um, so I've been flitting through different ideas for like the last 6 months, just bouncing from like, okay, that might be funny, this might be good, oh, that could be amusing, and I've been like, I had an idea months ago to like do exploring Taco Bell, where I just go in there and order one of everything off the menu and then I review it all. I had an idea to do like exploring some sort of Barbie game on the NES or SNES and just doing like a semi-serious take on that. I had an idea to do exploring Raid Shadow Legends, where I would just like make up an entire backstory for everything involved in that game, and I would incorporate like Raid 2020 and stuff and other Raid video games and like the Raid movie. I had an idea to do like exploring Alpha and Omega, the greatest movie series of all time, because I learned that there's like 9 movies in that series and they're all trash, and so I would just make up like 20 more. You know, it's just, I just bounced around a lot. Fuck, I can't think this one through. Then I had an idea to do. I mean, it would be more like just seeing the title would be more like the funny part. I thought of just doing like exploring owner's manuals, and I would just read like some really boring owner's manual for like a pressure washer or something. Which probably wouldn't be the most interesting video. There wouldn't be any jokes or anything. It would just be me reading it. Because I think I've seen comments about people that they're like, "Oh, your voice is so great. You could read like a school book. You know, you could read anything and it would be interesting." It's like, really? Let's see. And then I had like the bare minimum idea that I had of like, if I can't do anything else, I would just read an essay that Lovecraft wrote about how much better cats are than dogs. And I would probably file it under like exploring the Cthulhu mythos, but it would just be me reading this cats and dogs essay. Because it's sort of just a humorous essay about like, he really fucking loves cats and dogs are like the shit of the universe. Like he says that philosophers own cats and peasants own dogs. Like that's basically how it is. That would be the bare minimum, because I know that some people would click on it and it wouldn't be demonetized. And like that would be enough. But everything else is a lot more work, except for the owner's manual thing, and would likely be demonetized in some way, except maybe the video game stuff would probably slide by. But anything I do with a movie, yeah, it's just tricky. And it's a lot of work. So it's hard to say. I mean, I hate to get lazy on you, but that's sort of where it's at. Wait. How did this... How did we get to this situation? Was I not paying attention? How did this dude end up getting... Oh, because I moved. Why did I... Oh, because I wanted to knock this guy off. Be better to knock this guy off. Maybe it wouldn't. Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces here. Still anything. Decent, competently made Barbie game for the PS2. That could be. I did a Let's Play of, I think it was the NES one, On which one did I do a Let's Play of? Dream Vacation, maybe? She was definitely dreaming a lot. I remember that. Didn't do that, but that doesn't answer every... I mean, I've got 4 things attacking. I've got 3 units. Something has to pull double duty, and I don't know if any of them can. I'd have to end... Something would have to block a hit with the body. So, I don't know. I mean, you heard all my ideas. You can tell me what you think. I mean, I usually don't feel pressure ever about making any videos, but for some reason, April Fool's stuff gets to me. Because it feels like... The April Fool's thing feels like I'm trying to make humor my job, and it's not supposed to be. You know, my job is just exploring lore. When I make humor my job, that just feels a lot tougher. Humor's really tricky. And it's like, yeah, and the fact that I've done it in the past and people liked it, that makes it even worse. Damn it, I can't figure this one. Anyways, moving on. I got more stuff to say. This week on this channel we had Metroid Fusion finished up. We had Noita finished up, and we started World of Horror, which will be continuing this week. I don't know how long. I don't know if World of Horror itself is going to last us until we do another Let's Play. At some point, we might start double dipping into Metroid, because I do have Metroid Prime 2, 3, and other M coming. So there's plenty of Metroid yet, and then, of course, I still have plenty of Castlevania videos to start uploading, and Dragon Quest videos, and Ultima videos. And, of course, I'm always eager to play and record more stuff of that. So yeah, I mean, I got plenty of old videos to upload. I did, however, record the first episode of Two Brothers Play. My brother came over yesterday. We set up lights, cameras, and microphones, and we recorded Joe and Mac 2 on the SNES. The whole process was about 3 hours. The actual gaming process was maybe like 2 hours or so. We didn't beat the game. We made it to the final boss, the second form of the final boss. And we just got our asses handed to us too much, so we called it. Which, I mean, beating the game is not at all a necessary part of this. the shitty part about that game at the end is you have to go through this whole boss gauntlet with no health regeneration whatsoever, and you have to beat the 2 final forms of the last boss without any health regenerate. Like, it's tough as nails, and we're not great at video games, so it was, yeah. We had a fun time though, and I think if the video had been made, it would be solid. It would have been a solid start. However, it was a learning process. It wasn't just one thing that went wrong, multiple things went wrong, which is fine because we can learn from it. One is the actual gameplay footage didn't record, which is a problem I've had in the past. This is why I like having multiple monitors, because then I can always see exactly what OBS is doing. I can see the audio levels, I can see what the video footage looks like, I can see bit rate, I can see everything. Even though my main monitor's full screen on the game. Sometimes OBS acts up, depending on the game, depending on the program. OBS does not actually capture the footage. The footage pauses or something when you go to full screen. This can always pretty much be fixed by rejiggering OBS a little bit and flipping things around. I did not flip around enough. We did a test recording, but I hadn't actually gone into the game full screen during the test recording. Big stupid mistake on my part. So yeah, as soon as OBS flipped over to full screen, the footage froze, and nothing recorded. If that had been it, that would have just been really bummer, but other things went wrong as well. The microphones we were using, the lavalier mics, were broken, basically. They cut out every 20 seconds. So, even if the video footage had been good, our audio would have been basically unusable. And I really did not care for the quality of the audio. These are $20 lavalier mics. And my normal microphone setup for Mangg's LPs is obviously the same as TES. So it's not the best it could be, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but it's pretty good. This would have been a sharp decline. So I think next time we'll probably just take my Yeti Blue microphone and we'll just put it on a box next to us, and it'll sound fine. I think it'll sound pretty good. The other problem was we were using his DSLR camera because he's big into photography and stuff. So he had this really nice camera, which the footage of us looked great, but it broke. It could only record for 30 minutes at a time. So every 30 minutes while we were playing, we had to pause. He had to restart the recording. And then when I went in to edit it and look at it, it was broken into 30 minutes. And I had to resync. I would have to resync the video camera footage to our gameplay footage every 30 minutes. It would just be a nightmare. So next time, we're going to just plug the camera into the PC, run everything through OBS, get the Yeti Blue microphone set up, and make sure that it properly records our gameplay. And so next time will hopefully be good. But we had a fun time, and it seemed like it would be a solid video. We had, the commentary never really died or anything like that. I thought it was solid. So we'll do it again. We are open to suggestions, but I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do next time. Maybe Pocky and Rocky on the SNES, or he really wants to do Legend of the Mystical Ninja, so we might do that. But yeah, it was good. It was good. My brother and I, when we were young, we rarely played video games together because we were usually, both of us were really into RPGs. So usually those weren't cooperative or anything. Some RPGs on the SNES you could do some co-op stuff, but it really wasn't designed for that. So most of the time he would play, and then when he was done, I would play, and then that would sort of be it. We didn't really even look into that many co-op games. So this is a nice Nice change of pace. Um, yeah, so I don't know when you'll see the actual first episode, but it's being worked on. We have just a little bit of time here. I guess I can sum up Roll Manging real quick. We were in this temple trying to get this holy artifact sensor thing, and we had this this statue with a riddle. Thomas was trying to solve this riddle. He couldn't figure it out, so in the end I just used like telekinesis to push this statue, which caused the ceiling to collapse, which wasn't that big of a deal because I could just negate the damage. And after that, we just had open access to the room, so it was all good. And through some trial and error, some painful trial and error, we ended up finding the artifact. And so now we have this sensor that can summon a bunch of Nazgul to help us out, so that's nice. We went on our way. We decided to take a slight detour to go down to this lost city in the marsh, because there's got to be treasure there. So we go down to the lost city, we poke our heads in, I fly up in the air, and I look around, and there's like big hulking figures, like skulking in the darkness. And they ran when they saw me. So there's something in the lost city, of course. So we wait till day, we go back in, and we say, you know, we're not here to hurt you, blah, blah, blah. And we see that there are a bunch of like large golems, basically. They're like giants made out of stitched together flesh and parts and stuff. And they can't really speak. They don't have much intelligence. But we act very friendly towards them, and they show us some like the laboratory where they were created by their former masters. And then we talk about like making a trade, or you know, we're looking for treasure or something like that. And so we offer up like one of our mules full of food, and they bring out this like holy crown that they have that from their former masters, which is clearly magical. So we also offer up this horn we found that can tame animals, which is really pretty useless. And so we make a friendly trade and we go on our way. That was pretty much it. The crown we gave to Thomas. It's a pretty good artifact. It lets him do like extra lightning damage. It did some good stuff, but it was also kind of cursed because once he put it on, he really didn't want to remove it. And so we arrive at the next town, Gellenmore, and I'm like, oh, well, you should probably take the crown off. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves, you know, with you walking around with a crown on. And so he sort of struggled to take it off, like, mentally, but eventually he did. He just yanked it off, and he, like, just collapsed to the ground. And he, like, permanently lost a stat. Like, he lost, like, a point of will or something. If I had known, I wouldn't have been so... we would have just put, like, a hood over him or something, but... yeah, it ended up being sort of a big deal. And it's like, well, we either throw the crown away and no one ever uses it, or he puts it back on at some point and he never takes it off again, which is what we decided. So once we were done with Gellenmore, he's going to put the crown back on. And so we're at Gellenmore to buy a bunch of materials, lumber and tools and stuff, so that we can take it up to the mountain to fix this airship that I know is there. And so we go around, we throw some cash around, we buy a bunch of materials, and that draws the attention of the local prince, the local lord, or whatever. And he invites us to dinner, and I suspect foul play, because we know that the Dark Lord himself has been sending agents out to corrupt officials and lords and stuff, so we're all pretty wary, but we go up for dinner. And I read this guy's mind. I read the fuck out of his mind. It seems like he's on the level. He seems like he's a decent dude, and he doesn't have any like weird counselors or advisors or anything whispering in his ear. So it all seems fine. We have a good meal, and we don't tell him anything about like our quest that we're on because we're still not quite sure to trust him. So we pretend that we're like merchants. Our ship had an incident, and we sort of crashed, and we came here nearby for supplies to fix it, and blah blah blah. And he tells us that the dwarves up in Drozdad, which is where our airship is, they've been secluded for like 10 years. They must have found something in their mountain that's really keeping them there, and they fire upon anybody that comes close. It's like perfect. This is the perfect place we want to go to get an airship. Right out of their backyard. There won't be any issues. And right before we entered Gellenmore, we noticed a star in the sky that seems to be growing larger with every passing day. Something out there in space is drawing nearer to our planet. And so I sat down, I did some calculations in-game to try and figure out how fast it's moving and how long it will take until it theoretically arrives here. And Ziggy gave me the number of 88 days. So in 88 days, whatever that thing is will arrive here or pretty close to here. And so we mentioned this during the dinner, and the Lord concurred. Like, he's also noticed it because he has a telescope, and he's been sort of watching it. So he invites us to check out the telescope. So I go out there, I look through the telescope, I see this thing, and it turns out it's a planet moving towards us. And I'm sort of drawn to keep looking at it. But I break away. Thomas takes his look, and he's staring at it. He decides to keep staring at it. And eventually he starts to notice a bunch of eyes across this planet. And he's like locked in now. He can't tear his eyes away from this weird planet coming in. And then he starts to float up into the sky along with the telescope. He starts floating upwards. And Gyro grabs onto his legs to try and pull him back down, but she starts floating up as well. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to grab on. We got to use some magic here. So first I create like a metal net, like a heavy metal net to go over him, to try and weigh him down. That doesn't really work. It's not heavy enough. He's like phasing through it, really. He lets go of the telescope, so the telescope starts like falling off down into the city. So I use telekinesis to grab that, and I save the telescope because it's probably pretty valuable. But they're still floating upwards, so I'm like, all right, fuck this. So I just create a force barrier above them. And if this thing can get through the force barrier, then we're really fucked, because the book is very clear that nothing can go through the force barrier. And Ziggy concurred. So the force barrier did completely stop the flotation. And they started to tumble back down. So then I created a giant cushion for them to land on. Magic saved the day there, my friends. As it always does. And it's like, you know, when I play with my family and stuff, we have family RPG night, and they don't want anything to do with magic powers at all. Like, it's just like, how can you play an RPG that has magic and not use it? Like, it's just, I don't know. I can't relate. We warned the Lord to not look at the planet anymore, because it's clearly dangerous, and to probably put out a decree in his city that no one should be looking at this planet. But the thing is, it's going to keep getting closer, and eventually people are just going to be able to look up into the sky and gaze upon it and sort of get locked in and start floating upwards. And that's when the real problems start. So we know, based on Hubert's learnings, that if we manage to find the 4 portals over in Zukna, we close them, that will send this Alabar away, and he won't arrive. So we have 88 days before that happens. And we're on our way to get an airship from the dwarves, who are very territorial for some reason. It's gonna be interesting. It's a fun campaign. I really hope this one lasts through to the end, and we don't give up on it. Unfortunately, Thomas is heading off to Florida for like 3 weeks for his band. They're like recording an album or something like that. So we decided, since we're into like pivotal moments of the campaign, we decided not to go ahead without him. So for the next few weeks, we're not doing RPG night. We're doing some board game nights, and then the third week, I think maybe we'll play Thursday instead of Monday. But yeah, it's going to be a while before the next roll, Mangg. But hopefully we'll fill the void with Two Brothers Play. But alright, that's enough for me. So, check out the SCP-5000 video tomorrow. A lot of work went into it. Hope you enjoy it. We got more World of Horror this week. The start of Metroid Prime 2. Should all be good times. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.